Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a morning update. Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the program. I hope that everybody enjoyed my conversation with Dr. Stephen DeLay that spanned over 2 parts, starting yesterday and finishing up this morning. We covered a whole lot of ground in that discussion, and I am always blown away when I get to have a few minutes, or in this case, a few hours, to chat with somebody like Dr. Stephen DeLay. The man just gets it. Very intelligent. Obviously, his credentials speak for themselves. I mean, PhD, Oxford, list goes on and on. So obviously, the guy knows what he's talking about, okay? So when people say, listen to the experts, well, that's exactly what I'm doing. We bring on somebody like that, somebody who understands academia, somebody who has their finger on the pulse, and somebody who is on the inside. It's one thing, like I always say, to hear from a third party, right? For a reporter to tell you, or for me to tell you. But when somebody like Dr. Stephen DeLay hops onto this program and gives you the raw, unadulterated truth, it's a whole different ballgame. We're talking about a very well-accomplished philosopher here. And I think it's high time that his colleagues within academia follow suit and stand up and say that this sort of thing is unacceptable. But all we have heard is a bunch of silence and a bunch of BS from academia for the most part. So I was super glad that I was able to sit down with the good doctor yesterday and that we were able to hammer out a few hours of content for all of you. And I really hope that you all found that conversation beneficial. And from the responses that I have received thus far, that is certainly the case. So if you have not downloaded those 2 episodes yet, I highly suggest that you do that. You can find them both in the Spreaker catalog or wherever you get your podcasts, except for iTunes. And I really think that you'll find this conversation beneficial if you have not listened to it already. He hits on all of the themes that we talk about. And it was probably the funnest and best 3 hours of radio I've ever been involved with. So shout out to Dr. Stephen DeLay. I really appreciate you coming on, sir. And you bring a whole lot to the program and to the case overall. So I thank you, and I know I can speak for the listeners when I say that they thank you as well. All right, so today we're going to dive back into the FinCen files with a real short article. So this isn't going to be one of those marathon articles that we get into here. This is a relatively short one. But the FinCen files, as a quick recap, are a very important leak that occurred in 2020. And that leak showed just how piss poor everything is within the financial system and within the financial sector. You have the FinCen files totally putting that on blast by going into the system that is supposedly in place to catch suspicious transactions. And the FinCen files, well, they brought roughly 2,000 of those SARS, suspicious activity reports, to light. And it's been a fantastic piece of work done by BuzzFeed and the journalists that worked on this story. So it really lines up with what we talk about with Jeffrey Epstein, right? All of the financial malfeasance that Jeffrey Epstein was involved in, all of the alleged, air quotes here, money laundering that was occurring, all of these LLCs, the 97 transactions by Indike trying to structure, all of this falls right squarely in the basket of the FinCen files as well. And as you see, all of these different situations that come to light, the FinCen files, the Paradise Papers, the Panama Papers, the Luanda leaks, all of it. When you look at what those leaks told us, then you understand very quickly that Jeffrey Epstein was involved with all of that stuff. So not only was Jeffrey Epstein one of the most prolific human traffickers in modern times, he was also one of the biggest money launderers as well. Oh, they'll tell you his estate was only worth $643 million, but how much did he have in crypto? How much did he have stashed offshore? How much is still in Dyke and Khan's pocket? Until we have a full-on, full-blown RICO investigation, I don't know if we will ever know. Let's jump into this article from BuzzFeed News and see what they have to say. Headline: A new survey of the financial industry shows significant support for the FinCen files investigation. Oh, shocking, huh? All of a sudden they're put on blast. All of a sudden they're outed as scumbags who are helping to launder money and to move ill-gotten gains. And now, oh, well, let's show some support for the leaks. This is a good thing. Here's an idea. You idiots should have regulated your industry a lot longer ago. If you would have done that, how much of this crime could have been stopped? Some in the financial industry warned the unprecedented reporting project would have a chilling effect. Now, many say it could improve the system. This article was authored by Jason Leopold and Anthony Cormier and Scott Pham. Oh yeah, it would have a chilling effect. You see, that's the thing with the financial sector. They are more secretive than the CIA almost, right? These people are, they're truly pieces of garbage in most respects. And at first they're like, oh no, this is going to be horrible for us. Then they're like, all right, let's find a way to spin this and act like we're on board. And I'm sure there'll be some sacrificial lambs along the way. But it's never the people that really should be getting the axe, right? They always have a fall guy, don't they? For instance, the two guards at Jeffrey Epstein's place of death. So those are the two fall guys, right? Nobody above them took the beat. Nobody above them got arrested. Nobody above them got in trouble. So it's just them who are the fall guys, right? So you'll see the same thing in the financial sector. Inevitably, they'll sacrifice somebody. A new survey of the financial sector finds wide support for the idea that the FinCen files investigation will help in the fight against global corruption. Again, I'm not buying it. I don't believe that the financial sector or these institutions would do one single thing to make their lives harder and to make the theft of money harder. They want to make their lives easier, right? That's why they pay for politicians and shit. The largest portion of respondents said the series by BuzzFeed News and the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists would have a positive impact on efforts to curb financial crime. Well, I agree with that, and I believe that's because more people are hip to what's going on now. And with that said, more people are going to demand that things change. You know, it's been thrown right in our face in the last year. Since everybody's been locked in their homes, since everybody's been, forced to ingest all of this stuff and this news and this information. Everybody knows that the game is rigged at this point. Just take a look at what happened with Wall Street bets and how Robinhood and Citadel were working hand in hand. Look, it's all fixed, right? If you're not part of the so-called elite, well, you're just here to be used by them for them to continue to gain wealth, right? We're just all pawns on the chessboard to them. The responses are part of a survey of 340 bank insiders, regulators, and other financial industry experts by the Association of Certified Anti-Money Laundering Specialists, the largest organization of financial crime specialists in the world. Well, look, it's a good thing. And look, I don't want to be cynical, right? But the track record that the financial industry has shown us in the past is not a good one. And to think that because of this investigation, I think it would be naive to think that that would be the thing that ended it all and brought all of these people into line. Oh, it's one thing for them to talk a good game. Let's see how they lobby, though. That's what's important. When these banks start lobbying these new senators and these new congressmen and women and Joe Biden, then we'll really see what they're about. They can say whatever they want. And of course, you're going to come out in public and say, this is a good thing. We want more regulation. In reality, in the boardroom, that's not the case. Released last week, the poll touched on multiple issues these officials confront each day, from the type of guidance they get from the Treasury Department to the tools they took to track financial crime. Well, the Treasury Department needs to do a better job as well. It's it's like an antique system, right, that they have. They need to fix it. Just like with the unemployment systems around the country, how everything was a disaster when the pandemic first started and there was all of those claims. The same goes for all of these other government databases and systems. They need to be renewed and they need to be brought up to date, because right now, what they have in place is an absolute joke. A small fraction of a percentage of these SARs are ever even seen. The FinCen files, an unprecedented look at global financial corruption and the banks and policies that enable it, was based on thousands of secret suspicious activity reports from the Treasury Department. And the lady who was the whistleblower in this case is facing some serious jail time. We're going to get into that at some point too, because while I think that there is serious issues that need to be addressed as far as whistleblower laws go, I think it also needs to be addressed that these journalists need to be a lot safer and a lot more careful with the information that's given to them by sources. I mean, you can't let your sources get outed like this. Prior to publication of the series in September 2020, the Treasury Department warned that the disclosure could impact the national security of the United States and compromise law enforcement investigations. Oh, of course they said that. It's always the same thing, right? Everything's national security. Everything's a national security issue with these people. Oh, it's a national security issue. Oh, it's a national security issue. Meanwhile, none of it's a national security issue. This certainly wasn't a national security issue. And in fact, what it was an issue that was showing that the government wasn't doing their job correctly, really. And it's all about saving face, isn't it? Now, half a year later, only 27% of those surveyed said that they thought the effect would be negative. A combined 46% of respondents said they believed that the project would lead to increased regulatory scrutiny of financial institutions or voluntary strengthening of anti-corruption measures. Yeah, that's what happens, okay, when you're caught, right? It's like being a kid. Your parents catch you drinking, so they're going to be monitoring that from now on, right? All right, well, I know my kid had a few beers when he was out, and I caught him drunk. So now when he comes home, I'm going to have to keep an eye on him to see if he's drunk. Same shit here. Why didn't you fix this beforehand? Why does it need to be this highly regulated? Why can't you people just do the right thing? The result is a surprise, said Ross Delston, a lawyer and expert on money laundering. It's become almost a religious a precept that SARs are never to be revealed, never to be referred to, always to be protected, he said. Based on that alone, I would have thought it would have made compliance professionals leery on any release of the information. And I bet it does. They're going to come out and say other things, right? They're going to act like it's not a big deal. They're going to act like it's not a situation that gets them a little bothered under the collar. Because it's all about public perception. They don't want to seem like they're standing in the way of a good investigative journalist story that's putting absolute horrible misconduct on blast. But they'll try and, pull a couple levers here and there to make things more difficult. He added, initially, FinCen, the Treasury Department's financial crimes enforcement network, seemed to think that the disclosure would hurt their work. The reality is, it may affirm their work. So, with that said, the lady who leaked this stuff, allegedly, all charges should be dropped, okay? She is a whistleblower, and she should be defended under the new whistleblower laws. And I'd really like to see BuzzFeed and the other journalists working on this case come out and talk about that a little bit more. At the end of the day, she was their source and she was burned, right? So they should be a little bit more supportive and pushing the narrative at the very least that according to all of these people that are in the know, this was a boon for the country. This was a good thing for the country. This lady is not a leaker. She is a whistleblower and she should be treated and protected just as that. Congress recently passed a monumental law closing a major loophole for money launderers, and leading lawmakers credited the FinCen files with helping to get it over the line. The Corporate Transparency Act will make it more difficult for individuals to hide their identities behind so-called shell companies. Now, we talked about that as well, and again, it's a great place to start, but this isn't the be-all, end-all. Don't act like this is the end of it, right? It's very important that we keep the pressure on them. It's very important that the government knows that we're paying attention to what they're up to. Because if not, well, just revert back to before these leaks and they'll go right back to their secret ways. The industry still faces steep challenges. Nearly 80% said periodic national guidelines on how to fight money laundering would be helpful. Nearly 2/3 suggested that regulators should give them better feedback on the reports they filed. I agree with that. Regulators should be in constant contact with the compliance department from these banks and other institutions that are dealing with money. It has to be an ongoing conversation, right? Because things change. There's a lot of things that happen. There's a lot of things that change. And if there's somebody that needs to be, another look needs to be taken at their financials, well, the conversation needs to be open and moving. Almost 65% of the respondents thought there was a harmful time lag between suspicious financial transactions and when they are reported to the Treasury Department. Yeah, there's always been a big problem there. This is the government, right? The government doesn't do anything quickly. Remember those $2,000, those $2,000 stimulus checks that were promised? If you vote for Warnock and Ossoff, those $2,000 checks are out the door. Meanwhile, sitting here, no $2,000 check. Oh, forgot to tell you, it's only going to be $1,400, not $2,000, because you already got the $600. So you'll take the $1,400 and you'll be happy about it. And on and on and on it goes. So forgive me if I'm not very trusting of what the government says or the timelines that the government rolls out. Now, I'm sure that we'll get that stimulus at some point. My point is, though, the government is not an entity to be trusted, right? We got to keep pushing, and we have to make sure that they understand that if they aren't acting in a transparent manner, that they are going to be found out at some point, and when they are found out, that the fallout is going to be so severe that whatever sort of political career that they have will and should be over. And folks, that starts with me and you. All of these incumbents that have done us wrong, vote them out. All of these people that are running for office in the future, make sure you vet them. Because until we get quality people in places of power, we're just going to continue down this path of greed, corruption, and really just a society that is on a disaster, a course for disaster. All you have to do is take a look back at Rome and what happened when the Roman senators dove into their piles of greed and started their infighting and see the result. But one thing is certainly clear. The government, the financial sector, and all of these douchebag hedge funders, you're all on notice. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at Bobbycapucci at protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI at protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All of the links that go with this episode can be found in the description box. All right, everybody, I will be back later on, and we will pick up where we left off.